Good evening and welcome to the Stephanie Humphrey channel and the Stephanie Humphrey podcast. Welcome to Sip and Say with Stephanie. Hey, y'all. How are you all doing? It has been 2 weeks since I have seen you. I haven't seen you since last month. So how are you all doing? How are you doing mentally? How are you doing spiritually? How are you doing emotionally? How are you doing mentally? How are you doing physically? Y'all, how y'all doing? How y'all doing tonight? How y'all been doing for the last couple of weeks, y'all? I've been doing good. I had some work events to attend to in the evenings. Actually, my work event for the first Thursday in this month was canceled. So I opted to take a workshop that evening since I already had a guest host. And then last Thursday, I did double duty, y'all. I had 4 work events and I ended up, I went to 2. I couldn't go to all 4, went to 2 of them. And so I enjoyed myself and had a good time with our families there. So I want to say a very special thank you to my uncle, Deacon Gregory Humphrey, for teaching Bible study for the last 2 Thursdays. It was amazing. The first Thursday was Lost and Found. The second Thursday was about leadership, about the qualities of being a leader. I listened to it about a week ago, but the qualities of being a leader. So make sure that you review the broadcast so that you can continue to allow that word that God spoke to us through my uncle to minister to you and to me and to all of us, okay? And so I do have our Black History fact, but before I get there was a question that came in the chat last Thursday, and my uncle had planned to be here tonight, but he wasn't able to come. He had something else to do that just took his attention away from being here with us tonight. And so I do have an answer for you, from him, okay? So the question that came in the chat last Thursday was, why is it important to be a good follower in order to be a good leader? And so I had planned to have my Bible out because y'all know my uncle, Deacon Humphrey, he loves him some scriptures now. And so he's got scriptures all up and through this particular answer. So I will add the question, not the questions, but I'll add the question. Actually, I will add the question and the scriptures that relate to the questions. I will add that in the description a little bit later. But this is his answer. To know the qualities and characteristics of a good leader, you must be led or study you must be led or study a great teacher. Okay, so you must be led to be a good leader, and then you must study a great teacher. So Matthew 20:25-28, Jesus was the greatest leader of all, but he followed his heavenly Father according to John 9:4. So John 9:4, Jesus says, I must do the work of my Father. Everything Jesus did, now this is my ad lib, everything Jesus did is because God told him to. God gave him permission to do. God had already given him all authority, all authority and power to do what he needed to do on the earth, to be a model for us, to be an example for us of how to serve people, how to love people, how to take care of people, how to bring correction to people in love. So Jesus was the ultimate model, but he had the ultimate model in God. And so he was the ultimate model and had the ultimate model. Okay, getting back to what my uncle said. Even in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus said, according to Luke 22:42, not my will, but your will be done. Jesus follows the will of his Father. Christ was the best example. See, I got ahead of the teaching. I should have just read, right? Christ was the best example of a leader. Matthew chapter 20, verses 25-28, and he followed his Father's will. You can also see additional information in John chapter 6, verse 38. it is important for us to be a good follower so we will know how to lead, where to lead, how to get there, and how to act during the process. I love that so much. I'm going to read it again. It's important to be a good follower so you, I, me, us will know how to lead, where to lead, how to get there, and how to act during the process. Come on in here, Deacon Humphrey. Good leadership skills are learned, and as you learn, you build good characteristics such as integrity, empathy, and communication. You also learn, as a good leader, displaying your leadership skills, you learn how to inspire people, foster innovation, and lead by example. Good leadership skills also mean that you have a servant's heart. Yes, we have born leaders such as David and Moses. They learned how to lead people by following people. So they followed and they were able to lead. David had it, even though Saul may or may not have been the best example of a leader, I believe that David learned what to do and what not to do under the leadership of Saul. Now, this is just me talking. I'm done with what my uncle put up here. But I believe that we can learn what to do and what not to do as we follow other leaders. So when we get the opportunity to lead, when God opens the door for us to be that leader that he has destined us to be, we'll know exactly what to do. So Uncle Gregory here put David, and he also put Moses, that they learn how to lead people by following, or actually, well, I read what he put, but let me look at it. Hold on. So I think it's a grammatical error, so I'm going to make a correction. David and Moses learned how to lead people by following the sheep, is what Uncle Gregory put. I believe he meant by leading the sheep, or maybe he meant by following the sheep, because they did have to, David and Moses as shepherds, they did have to make sure that the sheep were well taken care of, that they were fed, that no wolves would come and kill them, no other animals would come and prey on them. So they did have to learn leadership skills as they led the sheep, as they followed them, as they took care of them. And so that's the answer for that. Also, when I was reading this and thought about leadership skills, I thought about Moses and Joshua. You know, Joshua was under the leadership of Moses. And so when Moses died, come on, Joshua 1, when Moses died, God told Joshua, Moses, my servant is dead. So now, Joshua, it's time for you to take the helm. It's time for you to be the leader that my people, the Israelites, need. And so Joshua had an amazing example in Moses leading those approximately 1 million or so Israelites out of Egyptian bondage into the land of milk and honey, even though some of them didn't get there, but leading them to deliverance from Egyptian bondage. And so Joshua, to me, is one amazing. Moses was an amazing leader, and I believe that Joshua was an amazing leader as well. Just like David, just like Moses. What are some other leaders you all can think of in the Bible? I'm going to say Deborah, prophetess and judge. Deborah, to me, was a good leader. Jesus, of course, you know, we mentioned Jesus. In my opinion, Paul was a good leader. Definitely Peter. Come on, Peter. Definitely Peter. And y'all add some other biblical patriarchs who were excellent leaders in the Bible. I'm thinking of Esther. To me, Esther was a great leader. She had to be pushed into it a little bit by her cousin Mordecai, but she got there and led her people into a fast, and ultimately God allowed them to defend themselves against the enemy that would have tried to destroy them. And so I'm pretty sure you can add your name to that list. I know that you're not a biblical patriarch, but you can definitely add your list to those who are great leaders. I believe that if God has called you to be, I believe that God has called all of us to be a leader in one capacity or another. I believe that God has called everybody on the face of the earth to be a leader in some capacity, whether you are a leader in your home as a parent, whether you are a leader on your job, as a teacher, as a principal, as a supervisor, as a president, as an owner of the business, as a mentor, because mentorship has some elements of leadership in it as well. Sunday school teacher, children's church, that's leadership. Come on and hear somebody. Deacon, deaconess, pastors, ministers. I believe that God has called all of us to be a leader in some capacity. Your level of leadership may not be mine may not be yours, but I believe that all of us have the ability to be a leader and to grow as a leader. I believe that there are people that we can influence, that we can lead, support, model for, be an example for, so that they can be whoever they're trying to be. Maybe you have a young mother trying to be a better mother. You have a dad trying to be a better dad. You have a leader, a young person or seasoned person in the church that just got a new leadership position, and they, want to learn some skills to be an effective leader, an impactful leader. And you might be the one to lead them, to give them some guidance, some books, some encouragement, some words of wisdom to help them be a good leader. And so that's just what I believe. If y'all have something different, that's okay. Put it in the chat. I'm willing to hear other perspectives. It's not going to change mine in this particular respect. Mine will not be changed, but I would love to hear from you. Okay, y'all. So that was from last week's Bible study. And so tonight is Sip and Say What's Up. Y'all, tell me how you feeling. I've already asked you how you're feeling. Add it to the chat, add it to the comment section. If you're listening to the rebroadcast, let me know how you're feeling. Did I tell you how I was feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. I really just want to get in my bed. It's Thursday, I just want to crawl in my bed under the covers and my 3 fluffy pillows, not under my pillows, but my head on my 3 fluffy pillows, under my sheet and blanket, and just sleep. I wish I could just sleep for 2 days. I just want to sleep. I don't feel tired, but I feel sleepy. And I just wish I could just get in bed and just sleep for the next 2 days. But I'm not able to do that because I have obligations to attend to. But that's what I want to do. So that's how I'm feeling tonight. I'm feeling a little stuffy. I don't know where it's coming from. It might be because I got my heater running right beside me and it's pumping out some heat. I don't push it away one time, but I should have got the smaller heater instead of the bigger heater. But anyway, I'm feeling just a slight bit stuffy at the moment, but I'm feeling pretty good. Watch y'all sipping on tonight, y'all. I got my water, got my H2O. I really wanted to boil some water for tea because I have not tried my sister tea. But I haven't ordered my honey. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I don't know. I was supposed to order my honey because I'm out of my whipped honey. And it's chai tea. So I wanted to have my not chai. I always say chai, CHAE chi. I have my chi tea, and I wanted my chi honey to go with my chi tea, but I haven't ordered my honey yet. And I don't know where to get it in any store. I never actually looked for it in a store, but it is a bee farm here in North Carolina that produces this amazing chi with honey. Y'all, get you some. I need to get me some. I need to order me some so I can have my sister tea. So I plan to have some tea tonight, but I just sipping on some H2O. What y'all sipping on tonight? Add it to the comment section. Let me know in the chat section now. Add it to the comment section if you're listening late. I'm gonna get me a sip of my water. All right, y'all, I don't have a lot of news, but y'all, look. Before I came on tonight, I was listening to the news. I have not listened to the news in over a week. Did I cut on for the weather? I think I cut on for the weather, maybe the weekend. But that was it. Cut on the weather. What's the weather gonna be like this week? Okay, you know what? That's not true. I cut on the weather for last week. I didn't cut on the weather for this week, I don't think. I don't think I did. But I cut on the news today. I was like, well, let me just get updated about what's happening. And so, normal stuff, not too much going on. But about an hour goes around right before the 5:30 news, y'all. there's a Senate bill that has been approved in North Carolina that I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about so that you all will know what it is, and so you can look it up for yourself. If you live in North Carolina, you can look it up for yourself. If you're in another state, look it up, just because sometimes what happens in one state trickles over to other states. But I believe a law similar to this has already been approved or already passed in other states, which might be why it has come here. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that, but I don't have a lot of news tonight, but I do have two Senate bills. That bill and another bill that I heard about. I haven't had to listen to the news to have heard this one, because I heard about this one on the news. So maybe it's been, so when did I hear about that one? That one I heard about last week. So I think it was the weekend, maybe even Monday of last week, that I turned on the news and I heard about that Senate bill, because I was like, well, let me look it up and see what it's about. So I was reading through it, and then I was looking at the subsequent bills that were embedded in the bill. So I'm not going to talk much about it tonight, but I am going to let you know about what it is. So little bit of news. Ain't nobody talking to me tonight. I don't see anybody in the chat, but hey, how y'all doing? Add to the chat. How y'all feeling? What y'all sipping on tonight? Okay, so the first bit of news, actually, the news is out of order. What I was going to start with, I'm actually going to end with, and so I did things out of order just because of how it all is going to happen. So yes, so I can fuss. I'm doing the last one so I can really fuss about it. That's why I'm saving that. For last. Okay, y'all. So this story may or may not affect you, and if it doesn't, it's okay. It's okay. But for those of you who it does affect, I wanted to share this information with you. It kind of surprised me, then it didn't surprise me, right? So I don't know if you know that one of the largest teachers union in the divided States of America is a National Education Association. It is an organization in which I am a member of. I am a member at the local, state, and national level. So I was surprised this wasn't when I saw teacher union, I immediately thought about NEA, but it's not NEA. This is an AFT, which is a teachers organization, teachers union that I've known about for many years, but I never joined. But the American Federation of Teachers, or the AFT, they represent about 1.8 million educators across America. On March 19th, which was just yesterday, I love it. They filed a lawsuit against the Department of Education. Most of my two main stories is about education. They filed a lawsuit against the Department of Education because of them halting or stopping the application process as it relates to income-driven repayment plans for student loans. So the IDR. So IDR, income driven repayment plan, is a type of a plan that was instituted in the 1990s. Was created by Congress in the 1990s to help support Americans in repaying their loan back. It does offer reduced rates. It's based on your income driven repayment. It's based on your income. So it made it more affordable for a good portion of Americans to repay their student loan back. Not that Americans were trying not to repay it, but it just made it more feasible, easier for them to repay their student loans based on their income, okay? And so not only did it make it more affordable, but it also capped the length of time that students would have to pay back their student loan. So for example, there are several of the income-driven payment plans. I'm gonna read a few of them for you. So we got the IBR, we have the SAVE, which is a saving on a valuable education plan. We have the PAYE, which is a pay as you earn plan. And then we have the ICR plan, which is an income contingent repayment plan. And so all of these plans would support, again, they were focused on the borrower's income, all income driven basically, but it allowed your loan to be forgiven if you it allowed your loan to be forgiven if any other remaining debt, if you had any remaining debt after you repaid your loan for 20 or 25 years, okay? It allowed you to, it allowed loan forgiveness of any remaining debt after a fixed repayment term of either 20 years or 25 years, okay? So for all you student loan borrowers, I was just happy to hear about it because I'm like, somebody fighting back, you know, somebody. So the IDR also affected the public service loan forgiveness, the PSLF. And so let me read what the union representative said. ATF sued the United States Department of Education for effectively breaking the student loan system, denying borrowers access to affordable loan payments, and blocking progress toward public service loan forgiveness in violation of federal law. That is what the AFT shared in a statement that they put out yesterday. Okay, y'all. So again, this may or may not affect you, but for those who have taken out student loans and are repaying the loans, this lawsuit could potentially support you depending on how the courts rule. Oh, and that was it. So the Eighth Circuit, I didn't even get this information. I forgot to get this information, so you all can fact check me if you want to. But the Earth Circuit Court, they ruled that the SAVE program, so the SAVE program came about under President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's administration. It was an additional income-driven repayment plan to support borrowers, so that they would not be paying astronomical prices, you know, to repay their loans, so that it could still be affordable for them. They'll still be able to take care of their families. So this particular, whatever the lawsuit was, and I do remember this lawsuit happening last year, I think, and I cannot remember the details of it, so I apologize for that, but I will put the information in the description so you can look it up later. But with the Eighth Circuit Court's ruling, they ruled that the SAVE program in particular, I don't know if they ruled it was, hold on, let me make sure. Whatever the ruling was, it only focused on the SAVE repayment plan. It didn't focus on the IDR or the PAYE or the ICR or the IBR. It actually focused specifically on the SAVE plan. So I'm gonna have to get y'all the link so you can read it up later. So that their decision only focused on that one repayment plan. But what the individuals, whoever made this decision under Trump's administration, they decided to apply that particular ruling of the Eighth Court. They decided to apply it to all of the repayment plans. Okay, so they just took matters into their own hands, made their own decision, and decided to apply that ruling to all of the income saving plans, except for just the one that the court ruled on. So that's what that was. I'll get the information, put the link, you can check it out later. All right, so Mike Pierce, who is the executive director of the Student Borrower Protection Center, said this in a statement that was released yesterday as well. Student loan borrowers are desperate for help, struggling to keep up with spiking monthly payments in a sinking economy, all while President Trump plays politics with the student loan system. So yeah, y'all, and Mr. Mike Pierce went on to say borrowers have a legal right to payments they can afford, and today we are demanding that these rights are enforced by a federal judge. And so the Department of Education, or a spokesperson for the Department of Education, shared this statement with ABC News. They said, this is where the quote starts, "Whatever is working," I guess the Department of Education they're referencing, quote, "is working to ensure these programs conform with the Eighth Circuit's ruling and anticipates the revised form allowing borrowers to change repayment plans to be made available as soon as next week." I don't believe that, but that's the statement they put out. Hopefully they will stick to it. So I do want it noted that there are approximately, or almost nearly, 43 million individuals who have taken out student loans, which equals 1.62 trillion in outstanding debt. I have my thoughts, but I'm just sharing the news with you on that. Let me make sure I got everything I want to say. Oh, this is it. Woo, woo. Come on, come on, come on. So there were 25 U.S. senators that they just wanted clarity. They wanted information. So this is what was put out. Let me see. So collectively, this is what the senators wrote. While the department was tasked, meaning the Department of Education, but while the department was tasked with implementing a judicial ruling to suspend a single IDR plan, the department inexplicably and confusingly chose to also suspend access to every other IDR plan. Borrowers have relied on many of these plans for decades, and this sudden and reckless action means millions of borrowers have fewer repayment options available and are unsure of what to do in order to manage their debt. That's what the senators wrote concerning the court's ruling and concerning the steps that the department, or lack of steps that the Department of Education has taken. So I'm gonna keep an eye out because I'm just curious, child, to find out what's gonna happen. I know that there were several people, I don't know personally, but there are people that I know of a person, you know, not me, nobody I know personally, but people that know other people that have had their student loans forgiven under the Biden-Harris administration. And so we'll see what's going to happen under this Trump administration. We're going to see what happens. So again, that may not be important to you, but for those who have student loans, it's important. It's important. Now, this will be important to you, whether you have kids in school or not. I want you all to know that Trump has signed an executive order that was actually on the news before I got on, and I was in the back room because I wanted to type in what he said so I could give you the exact quote. So I could give the exact quote, but I was in the back room. I didn't have my technology or a pen or paper with me, and so I missed. So you're gonna have to check out the news for yourself, or a video, or whatever the case may be. Hey, Wanda, good to see you. But he, before I came on the show tonight, around about that 5 to 5:30 news. No, I think it was a 5:30. No, it had to have been before 5:30 because I think I cut my TV off at 5:30. He signed an executive order to dismantle the department. To dismantle the Department of Education. I'm laughing because it's so stupid. It's so stupid, y'all. So an executive order has been signed to dismantle. Did y'all hear what I said? To dismantle the Department of Education. And to, you know, and in that, it's going to take an act of Congress for that to happen. No president can just say, we're going to no president can sign an executive order to say we're going to dismantle the Department of Education. He or she cannot do that on their own. It's going to take an act of Congress for that to happen. Prayerfully, Congress will not do that, because I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you the programs that the Department of Education supports. But I mean, okay, let me just tell y'all. Oh, so stupid. Okay. So even though the Department of Education does not have any say-so, in a sense, of the curriculum that schools use, states actually decide on the curriculum that the school districts are going to use within their state, or other programs that like if there's social emotional programs or whatever other kind of programs that are needed or wanted. Each state has the authority to make those decisions. And so that's that. So the Department of Education exists to support programs for local school districts so that we can support our children. I don't know about your state, but I know my state does not have the resources, or at least, well, let me backtrack that, because with this opportunity grant, somebody got some resources, because over the next 10 years, and I don't remember if we're in year 1 or year 2, they have significantly increased, in North Carolina, they have significantly increased the amount of money that goes towards opportunity grants. If you don't know, let me put my paper down. If you don't know what an opportunity grant is, it is the ability for parents to apply for this grant, whether it's private education or not, apply for this grant, potentially get this grant so they can send their children wherever they want to send them. If they don't want to go to public schools, they can send them to another school that has that's tuition based. Public school money should never, ever, 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 ever be used for private school education. I'm going to say it again. Public school money should never be used to fund a private education. But that is what the opportunity grants do, at least in the state of North Carolina. And I think it's probably like that in other states that have opportunity grants. So last year it was 6,000 that parents could apply for. The 6,000 was the number that parents could potentially receive to fund their child's education. Now, we're not talking about public school education, we're talking about private school education, other tuition-based type of education. So they have, in the state of North Carolina, significantly increased the number or the amount of money that's going to go towards opportunity grants. So that's what an opportunity grant is. So in the state of North Carolina, we got the money to fund public education a little bit better than we do our Republican-led or our Republican majority. Congress is choosing where they're going to put that money, and it is not in public education. That's my soapbox. I'm down from it so that I can tell you how the Department of Education helps your local school districts. And this is for all local school districts, okay? We have the Every Child Succeeds Act, which is the ESSE. It actually reauthorized the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, the ESEA. It also replaces the No Child Left Behind. No Child Left Behind. I got my hand. No Child Left Behind. I said it again. The No Child Left Behind Act, the NCLB. All right. So this ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act, it emphasizes equal opportunity and accountability for student performance, okay? The ESA was signed into law on December 10th, 2015 by President Barack Obama, okay? Supporting students, so that they can perform well academically. So the Department of Education provides funds for that particular act to be followed by local school districts. The Department of Education also provides funding for the Individuals with Disabilities Act, the IDEA. Child, if you got a child with an IEP or a 504, and you voted for the person who is currently sitting in the White House, I don't know what to tell you. The IDA, which is what we call it in our educational terms, it guides how states, school districts, and public agencies provide early intervention, special education, and related services to eligible students with disabilities. And those related services include speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. And kind of depending on, there might be some but we're just gonna stick with those three. Okay, if you got an IEP, you might know where I was going with that. We're just gonna stick with those three: occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy. So if the department is dismantled and all of the rights or all of these programs are given to the state, and your state doesn't have the money for this, what's going to happen with my babies with IEPs? That's what I want to know. And now, mind you, I am out of the classroom, but I have been a special education teacher almost my entire career. So, of course, when I first heard Trump talk about this, I was just like, well, what about the children with disabilities? What about our migrant children? What about our homeless children? Like, what's going to happen to them if you dismantle the Department of Education? Now, there was conversations about dismantling the Department of Education and sending that funding or that funding for the programming to other departments. The Department of Defense can't help with education. The Department of Revenue, they can't help with education. The Department of Homeland Security cannot help with education. The HUD Department, Housing and Urban Development, They can't help with education. What other departments? Department of Social, is there Social Security, the Administration for Social Security or Medicaid, they can't, and I'm not saying that they can't hire experts to navigate through the educational programming and funding, not to say they can't do it, but I'm just saying they weren't set up for that. That's not their specialty. They weren't set up for that. That's just like you putting a scalpel in my hand and say, Stephanie, operate. You a lie. I'm not going to operate because I don't have the education or the license or the skills to do that. If you want me to teach your child, I got you covered because that's my area of education, knowledge, expertise. I can, that's what I do. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. But don't put no scalpel in my hands. I'm gonna operate. That's not gonna. So in my mind, that's what you're doing. If you are really good, if Congress is really, I pray that somebody in Congress gets some sense. Somebody outside of the Democrats get some sense, so that the department will not be dismantled. So anyway, I'm gonna calm down because y'all know when I talk about education, talk about my babies with disabilities. Now fight you over my babies with disabilities. Even though I'm out of the classroom, I'm still an advocate for children, adults with disabilities forever. I think to the day the Lord calls me home, I'll be fighting for individuals with disabilities because I know oftentimes they get overlooked and underserved. So yes, so anywho, getting back to Department of Education, it's all about the Department of Education, but let me get to slow down off my soapbox, right? Lower myself off the soapbox. So if the Department of Education is dismantled, it will affect the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which is FERPA, it protects the privacy of student education records, giving parents and eligible students access to those records and control over their disclosure. The Department of Education states that FERPA affords parents the right to have access to their children's educational records. And I know, hey, Uncle Dar, I know how you doing. And I know in my school district, I can't remember the name of the system right now because I haven't had to look at it in a while because I haven't had, I'm in a different role. So my role before I was I was helping children directly or indirectly, I should say indirectly. And so we use a particular system to that parents could use to apply for their child's records. Okay, so it was like a process that they had to go through, and then the records could be released. And I wish I knew the name. I wish I could remember the name of the system, but I don't anymore. But that's what we did in my last school district. I don't know what my current school district does. I don't know what system is in place, but I'm pretty sure I can almost say confidently that every school district has a system by which parents can request their children's records. You just have to follow the process, okay? So if the Department of Education is dismantled, it will affect those FERPA, the FERPA Act, those rights and privileges of the students and parents. I don't know exactly how, because I've never been alive where we didn't have a Department of Education, so I don't know how it would affect the FERPA in particular, but it would have some effect on like the Higher Education Act of 1965 focuses on ensuring equal access to higher education opportunities and includes provisions related to student aid, accreditation, and research. So now we're getting into our community colleges, our higher education. I don't think this applies to high school because I've never had to tap into or do not resources, but research about this particular act. When I think higher education, I'm thinking of our community colleges. And so our Department of Education does guide community colleges within our states, as well as those colleges that are under like the state governance. So like in North Carolina, we have the North Carolina, I don't even know what the agency is called, but there's 16 public universities and colleges that are under this umbrella of a board that kind of governs and oversees the 16 public schools and universities in the state of North Carolina. I don't know why this is, I have an acronym in mind, but I don't think it's right. I want to say it's the NCGA, but I don't quote me on that one. But anyway, so the Department of Education in the state of North Carolina governs, like oversees that particular body and provides funding for our community colleges. and then it oversees those 16 public universities and colleges and provides funding there as well. And so that would be affected if the Department of Education is dismantled. The Department of Education Organization Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It is not an IEP, but it does support children who might have disabilities. You know, maybe they may or may not qualify for an IEP, so the 504 is available to support them. So let me just read what it is. Prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance from the U.S. Department of Education. So sometimes 504s can be applied. If your student, maybe they don't qualify for an IEP, but they might need some additional support in testing or in other areas, you might can get a 504 to provide the necessary accommodation so that your child can still, you know, have an opportunity to be successful, you know, academically. And so that particular act supports individuals with disabilities that have a 504. The Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment protects the rights of students and their parents regarding the use of personal information collected by schools. And then we get into our McKinney-Vento. So our McKinney-Vento is our Homeless Assistance Act. It ensures that our homeless children and youth have access to education and related services. You will not believe the percentage of homeless children and families we have in our school districts. So the funding that we get through, from the Department of Education, it helps the school districts support those homeless families in whatever areas they need. So each school district, I think from what I'm understanding based on my last school district and the current school district, that it was a little bit, they do things differently as it relates to the homeless population. So I think the Board of Education has some leeway in how they share guidance with the school, with the superintendent and the school district as they are supporting students who are homeless. Because y'all, my current school district is a little wonky. It's interesting. I'll just say it's interesting and leave it there. But potentially, I'm gonna just say potentially, because I don't know what every school district does, but you can support the homeless, our homeless population with like housing, with food, with clothing, with school supplies, with other necessary basic needs and academic needs so that that child or those children can be successful in school. Because being homeless will not affect you receiving your education. The only way it's not going to affect is if you don't get to school. If the child doesn't get to school, we can't help them. As long as that child is in school, those funds that come from the Department of Education for the McKinney-Vento families, they will receive what they need to have a free and appropriate public school, public education, not public school, but public education, okay? A free and appropriate public education, the FAPE. All right, y'all, that's all I got to say. Oh, the department, Head Start. Oh, come on, Head Start. I'm a product of Head Start. So y'all, the Head Start would be affected as well if the Department of Education is dismantled. Child. So I just want us to keep it in mind. Like I said, you may not have a child in the school system, but I'm pretty sure there are children in your family, at your church, your community organization, in your neighborhood that could potentially be affected if the Department of Education is dismantled. I pray in the name of Jesus that Congress will not pass an act to dismantle the Department of Public Education. I pray that they will not do it. I pray that they will not do it. I pray that they will not do it. So that's that, y'all. That took more time on that than I anticipated I would, so forgive me. I'm not going to read this because it's a lot of information. I'm just going to go to my last story. But I just wanted to do some research about when the Department of Education was actually established, because I didn't know. So I had to look it up. I knew it was still fairly new, but I wanted to look it up. And so the 96th Congress, they were the one that, under the Department of Education Organization Act, they established the Department of Education. Now I'm just reading. It says established an executive department to be known as the Department of Education, to be headed by a Secretary of Education. Creates within the Department of, and then they have an Undersecretary of Education and all of that. But The 96 Congress, they were the ones that established the Department of Education. And this Congress was 1979 and 1980. And the introduction of this S210 was introduced on January 24th, 1979. Okay, then it went through a couple of amendments, as often bills and laws do, or bills do before they become law. They go through a few, sometimes more than a few amendments. And so it looks like the amended bill was passed in the Senate on April 30th, 1979, and in the House on July 11th, 1979. So it's I haven't read through all of it because it's a lot of information, but it was some good reading just to see how the Department of Education was established and for what purposes. And I know 1979 was not that long ago, but I believe as an educator, I believe that the Department of Education is absolutely needed to make sure, or to ensure that school districts can support our students in the way that they need to be supported. Because see, what happens is, you all, the federal money is, so we have our local funds from our county commissioners, we have our state funds, of course, from the state, and then we have the federal funds. Those federal funds are absolutely needed to provide the resources, you all, the money that we need to support our children, to support children with disabilities, migrant children, homeless children, children who have academic need, because there is a Title I under the Department of Education's governance, and they provide additional support, like McKinney-Vento is under Title I. My job is under Title I. It provides the resources, the money that we need to serve our lower socioeconomic, well, not socioeconomic, it's not about socioeconomics, but our students who are lower or disadvantaged academically and in other respects. It gives us the additional money that we need to support them, to make sure that they have have the same opportunities, to learn and to grow, that a child does that has, that's kind of well off, and things are financially stable and well in their household. It just provides additional resources that we need to serve kids. That's all it is, y'all. The Department of Education gives school districts funding to provide those additional resources for kids who need it. And y'all, they need it. They need it. So anywho, I'm done with the Department of Education. I can probably talk education all day, but I'm gonna get to my last story. This is the one I'm gonna fuss about. And then I got, I'll just give you the Senate bills in North Carolina so you all can look at them for yourself. But this story, this was gonna be my first story, because this kind of took me out a little bit. Let me get my other notes for the story. Okay. So look, y'all. So y'all know, since Trump has been in office, he has signed bukus of executive orders. It's been so many. So one of the executive orders that was signed on January 23rd, it released the remaining files remaining files as it relates to the assassination of then President John F. Kennedy. Okay, it released the remaining files. The records were released by the National Archives, and it's said to be available on their website. It is available on their website because I looked it up. I didn't look at the files because that wasn't my business. But I did pull up the National Archives website and the exact page that these files have been released on. Yeah, I'm taking my time with this. So let me tell you, it was executive, in case you want to look it up, it was Executive Order 14176, a declassification of records concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., okay? Again, that was signed into law January 23rd, and this is what was said. This is the quote. It is in the national interest to finally release all records related to these assassinations without delay. It ain't in my interest, even though I'm not national. I'm international and national and local. Anywho, I just But y'all, that ain't the clincher. That ain't even a clincher. With the release of the John F. Kennedy assassination files, there have been two gentlemen. One is 80 and one is 86. I'm not going to say their names. I'm looking at their names, but I'm not going to say them. These two individuals, who again, one is age 80, one is age 86, with the release of the John F. Kennedy assassination files, the Social Security number and birth date and birthplace of these two individuals have also been released with the release of the assassination files. That is why I will not look at the files. That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't look at. Plus, it ain't my. I just don't want to know. I just don't even want to get into that. I feel like it's not my business. But anyway, I did not want to even see these names because they were not the only two affected. But these are the two names that have been identified. Again, I'm going to say it for the third time. One individual is age 80. One individual is age 86. Their names, their social security numbers, their birth date, and their birthplace was also released. Now, we're not talking about no redacted files. We're talking about their information is out on a public website for all the free world to see. And I took a long pause for purpose. Yes, I didn't forget what I was going to say. I just took a pause for a minute. In addition, y'all, according to the Washington Post, information, and hold on, these two individuals were, let me see what their role was. I think they were former advisors, former staffers, excuse me. These two individuals were former staffers, during that time. According to a news post by the Washington Post, the information of over 200 former congressional staffers and others were made public with the release of the JFK, John F. Kennedy's assassination files. Of the 200, so we have the two gentlemen whose names are actually in the public for all the free world to see. But of the 200, 80 of them who are thought to be between the ages of 70 and 90, they have also had their social security number and their birth date released with the release of these files. Y'all know identity theft is real, right? Identity theft is real. And you have the social security number and birth date of individuals on a public site for all the free world to see. Somebody might say, but these individuals are older. They're 80, they're 90, they're 70. Did I have a 70? Yes, they're 70, they're 80, they're 90, but they're still alive. Child, I am not a proponent for suing, but I would sue the heck out of the federal government. I would sue the heck out of Donald Trump. I would sue the heck out of whoever else was involved. I would sue. I declare I would sue. To have their personal information, y'all, is out there for all the free world to see. Now, I recognize that we have hackers in the world, and that hackers can hack into different systems and get information and stuff like that. That's different. They shouldn't be looking, hackers should not even be hacking. Stop y'all hacking. Y'all don't stop y'all hacking. Stop trying to steal people's identity. That's number one. But to have information just released in the public, Oh, so it's not even my information, and I am feeling stressed for these individuals because these are our seniors, y'all. These are individuals who are 70 and 80 and 90. They should be living their life in peace and in joy, but they might currently be afraid that somebody's going to steal their identity, maybe find, I mean, I don't know, tap into their social security, their retirement. Like, like before leaders make decisions, I was actually talking about this to some coworkers today. We were not talking about this story. We were actually talking about something totally different that had happened. And we talked about how leaders, before they make decisions that affect people, because see, a lot of decisions that leaders make don't affect them personally. It affects the people that they are leading. I believe before leaders make decisions, they need to talk to the people who are going to be affected by those decisions. Yeah, I really am stressed for these seniors. Like, y'all don't go looking for these people information. Maybe I shouldn't even have shared it. I don't even know, but I forgot my Black History fact. I'm gonna do that at the end, or I'll do it in a few minutes. But it's okay. I was sued. I was sued. Just gonna run me my check. Child, run me my check or checks. Gonna run me my money because and so I don't know. I don't know, y'all, but that's why it's happened. That's the information. I am done with that. So of course, y'all, it led me to look up executive orders. And what time is it? 7:28. So I'm gonna give you just a little bit of information because I know that presidents have been writing executive orders for a long time. Like the Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order, released by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1865. And so we know, and let me see which, I did write down which executive order it was. I didn't know the order number. So let me look that up. It was executive order number 95. So presidents have been writing executive orders for a really long time, but I never looked up why or the purpose or anything. So I'm gonna just give you, I got a lot of information. I'm just gonna highlight a few things and then you can look up this information for yourself, okay? So executive orders are, I didn't highlight that part, so let me look. So an executive order is a written directive signed by the president that orders the government to take specific steps. Executive order, it cannot override the Constitution and it cannot override the rule of law, okay? It cannot override federal laws or statutes, cannot override the Constitution, okay? This was a good example that I really liked that the author of this article put in. So I'm going to read what he put. Christopher Anders, he's a director of policy and government affairs, democracy, and technology from the American Civil Liberties Union. Okay, so I like this example. When an executive order an executive order, the president can't write a new statute, but an order can tell federal agencies how to implement a statute. For example, Congress can declare a certain drug legal or illegal, but with an executive order, the president can tell the Department of Justice if prosecuting certain drug cases is a priority or not. So I was like, okay, I get that. That's a fairly an example that everybody can understand. All right, so let me tell y'all what cannot happen, okay? So an executive order, again, it cannot override federal laws and statutes. It cannot override the Constitution of the Divided States of America. So executive orders can be stopped, like they can be paused. Like one just recently was, I can't remember, but anywho, you all look it up for yourself. Congress can enact a law that not reserves. Let me try that again. Congress can enact a law that reverses what the president has done, provided Congress has the constitutional authority to legislate on that issue. A court can hold that an executive order is unlawful if it violates the Constitution or a federal statute, and any future president can issue a new executive order that rescinds or amends the earlier executive order, which Trump did for one of these executive orders that I'm going to mention. Okay, so executive orders can be wonderful and really support the American people, like Executive Order 95, which was the Emancipation Proclamation to address slavery during the Civil War. And I didn't put the year down, but Harry Truman signed Executive Order 9981 to integrate the military, and then Lyndon B. Johnson used an Executive Order number 11246 to impose civil rights obligations on all federal contractors. That has been rescinded by Trump. That was recently rescinded by Trump. So that federal contractors no longer have to follow any civil rights obligations, which is interesting. So this is one I didn't know that President Joe Biden signed into order, but it was Executive Order 14019 to require every federal agency to find ways to facilitate voter registration. So those are some executive orders that benefited the American people, or at least I believe it did. I sure enough believe Executive Order 47, but 95 did, praise God. But of course, you know, the new president coming in can rescind some orders. And so that has definitely happened under this current administration. I am not going to say any more about executive orders. I will put the article from Mr. Anders, and I'll put the link in the description so that you can read the article for yourself. And then it has some links where you can tap into some other things to give you some more information about executive orders. So that's all I wanted. How would y'all feel if y'all information got plastered for all the free world to see? Like, it's just disgusting. I hate it so much that has happened to individuals. And I don't know. I don't know if something is being done to maybe redact those names and those social security numbers and those birth dates and birthplaces. I didn't read that there was any that there will be any steps taken to secure those identity, maybe provide them with some identity monitoring services just to, you know, help support them not being hacked or not having their identity stolen. I don't know, y'all, but I hope that there's some measures that are put into place to help those individuals whose personal information is on the website for all the free world to see. And so again, it's on the National Archives website, and it's there. Like I said, the file came up, but I think it was downloading because my computer was going slow, but so I didn't even wait for it to download. I just actually went and I saw it's like one at the top, one at the bottom, and you can actually download the file, y'all. Okay, I'm done with it. If you are in the state of North Carolina, I need you to lend your ear very, very quickly to this. And if you are in a state that this has already happened, Lord, how are y'all navigating? I just want to know, how are y'all navigating? So right before the 5:30 news, I heard about this Senate Bill 50. And I was like, I've got to tell you all, because I think a great majority of my listeners are in North Carolina. So this Senate Bill 50, oh, Jesus. So it has a long title. So I'm gonna try to keep it brief, but it is, I'm gonna just give you the highlight of this, because this is the one that really gets me. It is an act to protect a person's right to carry a concealed handgun without a permit, and to continue allowing persons to acquire a concealed handgun permit for the purposes of reciprocity or for any other reason desired. Kind of like if you're going out of state or whatever, you would need to follow the laws of that land, or the laws of that, like a different, I don't even know if it's by county or if it's by state as it relates to, I'm thinking it's by state. Since this is a Senate bill for the state of North Carolina, I'm thinking it's by state. So, if you might can carry a concealed weapon here without a permit, but you might not be able to do that in South Carolina or Georgia or Nevada or Idaho or wherever, or New York or wherever, So anyway, just the first sentence an act to protect a person's right to carry a concealed handgun without a permit. So prior to the Senate bill, in the state of North Carolina, you had to get a permit to conceal carry. And if I'm not mistaken, you had to go through some type of training in order to apply and be approved for, or potentially, I'll say potentially be approved for a permit to conceal carry. But this particular Senate Bill 50 is, for the third time, an act to protect a person's right to carry a concealed handgun without a permit. And it has some other things like the reciprocity. It talks about the amount paid to children and that whose loved one dies in the line of duty. Like, it's a whole lot of other things enthroned in this bill, but that's the one that hit me, because the first thing I thought about is an abuser. What if an abuser could potentially have a concealed carry weapon, or can potentially be carrying a concealed weapon, and kill their spouse or their significant other who left them, or who they just got mad at? Like, that's the first thing I thought about when I heard this on the news. And I was just like, oh, wait a minute. Let me drink some water. To me, this is reckless. This is reckless, y'all. It's reckless. It's reckless. It's reckless. It's reckless. It's a whole bill. I want y'all to, it's 10 pages. And so I was actually, because I looked it up as soon as I heard it on the news. I think I already had my computer in hand. I was just like, oh, let me look this up. Let me see what this is. What's the Senate bill? Y'all don't know the name? Okay, let me search it. Let me search it out. Concealed carry permit, North Carolina popped up. Y'all, it's 10 pages, but it's worth the read. So as I was reading it, I'm not going to read the whole 10 pages. I'm not even going to read a page to you, but there are, there's certain criteria for this. Like, I'm going to just read one to you. So it's unlawful for a person who meets any of the following criteria to carry a concealed handgun. And one is, like, the first one is ineligible to own, possess, or receive a firearm under the provisions of state or federal law. So there's other things. It's under indictment for felony. So there are guidelines or criteria. There are actually 13 pieces of criteria for this particular bill. But y'all, but get this. Now I'm gonna read this to you. Now I'm gonna go to the next one, because as I was reading, this is on page this is under same bill, Senate Bill 50. Under, so this is section 4. Section 4. Section 4, section 4, section 4. Y'all listen to this. Listen to this. So this is section 4 of the carrying concealed weapons. This is A under section 4. This is General Statute 14269, reads as written. Then the carrying concealed weapons is the headline. Except, so let me see what was the other one. Hold on. Okay, so we got the purpose: concealed weapon without obtaining a concealed handgun permit. It's often convenient to have a concealed handgun permit for the purpose of reciprocity when traveling to another state. Okay, we got it. Okay, so let me just read the language to you under section 4. See, I want to know. So section 4, General Statute 14269, which I need to look up, reads as rewritten, because they did, as I'm looking at this bill, I could see what they struck through and rewrote, or either they just took it out altogether. So anyway, it says, except as otherwise provided by law, and that's what I wish I knew what, I guess I'm gonna have to read General Statute 14269 to see what they mean by except as otherwise provided by law. But it is unlawful for any person willfully and intentionally, y'all listen to this, to carry concealed about his or her person any Bowie knife, dirk, dagger, slingshot, loaded cane. When I saw that loaded cane, metallic knuckles, razor, shuriken, I don't know what that is, stun gun, or other deadly weapon of like kind, except when the person is on the person's own premises. For purposes of this subsection, the term weapon, weapon is in quotes, the term weapon does not include a firearm. So I can carry a firearm, but I cannot carry a Bowie knife, a dirk, a dagger, a slingshot, a loaded cane, a metallic knuckles, razor, shuriken, stun gun, or other deadly weapon of like kind, except on my own premises. But I can carry a gun without a concealed gun without a permit. So y'all check it out. I'm done. I'm done with that one. I'm done. That's Senate Bill 50. I know I just gave you some little highlights, so I encourage you to read it in its entirety so that you get the full gist of the bill, because I'm going to read it in its entirety. I read through the first section, then I was kind of scrolling down, then I got stuck on the section 4 because I'm like, I can have a gun, but I can't have these things. 2 and 2 ain't adding up to be 4 with this, but okay, Senate, North Carolina Senate. Okay. That's Senate Bill 50, y'all. If you're not writing your legislators, if you're not texting them, if you're not calling them, if you're not going to the state legislative building, child, I don't know what to tell us. I'm gonna say us. Okay. Last one I'm going to say, and I have read this one. I read this one last week, or maybe the start of I may have read it the start of this week. And at some point over the last week, I read this bill in its entirety, and I made my little notes and highlights and underlining, but I need to go back and reread it because there are some general statutes embedded in it that I need to go reread and, correlate or see how it all connects. So I do need to go back and reread this. Y'all, this is Senate Bill 227, eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion in public education. Yes, I did say eliminating diversity, education, and inclusion in public education. They better be glad I'm not in the classroom, because they would not chat. I'll probably be taken away in handcuffs, because I promise you, I would not be eliminating diversity, inclusion, and equity in my classroom, because all of my kids are diverse, need inclusion, and need some equitable practices and programming and curriculum to support them, because they all are children with disabilities. When people hear diversity, inclusion, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, they immediately think of Black people. They forget about people with disabilities. They forget about people who might be navigating mental illnesses. They forget about whoever else falls into that category. The LGBTQIT plus community. I'm not a proponent of that community, but I respect the individuals in that community. I don't respect their lifestyle. I don't like their lifestyle, but I respect them as people, as part of the human race. It affects them too. But I'm focusing on my babies with disabilities, because diversity, equity, and inclusion includes them all up and through. How are you going to take diversity, equity, and inclusion out of public education? Somebody explain this to me. I read through this bill. Senate Bill 227. Y'all read it for yourselves so that you know exactly how the Senate in the state of North Carolina is trying to dismantle anything that even looks like, or they think looks like, something that would benefit a person with skin like mine. Y'all have to read it. And so y'all, I have, yeah, y'all read it. And then it talks about divisive concepts and discriminatory practices. These are adults, y'all. Like, these are adult people who are making these stupid decisions. And in my opinion, this is a stupid decision. Me and my house, we gonna do what we gonna do, because I don't plan to go back in the classroom to teach nobody kids. Praise God, from whom our blessings flow. But if I did, oh, and that's the big if. I promise you, it's recorded, it's on record. I promise you, diversity, equity, and inclusion will be all up and through my classroom. And yes, this is recorded on December 20th, 2025 at 7:47 p.m. And I stand flat-footed in that. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. So y'all need to read Senate Bill. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see. Senate Bill 227 and Senate Bill 50 in the state of North Carolina. I just, y'all got to read it. Like serious. When you read it and you think act like adults, so it's time for me I'm gonna wrap up this broadcast with a Black History fact. How about we just go on? How about we go on? Let me wrap up with a Black History fact. Today is March 20th. Today the 21st. My bad, y'all. Wait a minute. No, it is the 20th. I got my 2024 calendar. So today's the 20th. Okay. So on March 20th, 1924, Virginia's Eugenical Sterilization Act is signed into law and later becomes the modern sterilization law for other states and for Nazi Germany. They would sterilize some Black people, women in particular, to keep them from producing children. So that's what that particular act references. Also on March 21st, 1981, after a Mobile, Alabama jury acquits a Black man of killing a white officer, Ku Klux Klan members randomly kidnap and kill 19-year-old Michael Donnell, a Black man, and hung his body from a tree. I did say 1981. Yeah, I said 1981. The Ku Klux Klan kidnapped this 19-year-old Black man, and then they hung his body from a tree, Alabama. Woo, child. So anyway, that's my Black History facts for the evening. Last thing I want to leave you with before I let you go, you all, I think I already told you, but in case I didn't tell you, Be Well Connection is my new nonprofit. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, meaning that we have received approval for tax-exempt status with Internal Revenue Service. I'm really excited about it, you all. If you want to be a part of the Be Well Connection, I should have had a website pulled up, but I'm late. I invite you to, I'm going to put my website or our website in the chat so that you can check us out. We will be restarting our mindfulness classes on April 6th, Sunday, the first Sunday in April. We will be restarting our mindfulness classes. I invite you to join us in practicing mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. You are more than welcome to join. The practice will be every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It will be no more than a 15-minute practice. There are a couple of exceptions based on holidays and just other things that I'll be doing. So all of that information will be added to the website before April 6th, but you can go ahead and get signed up today. So that's the main website web address. I'm going to actually put the mindfulness link in the chat as well, so that it takes you right to the mindfulness page, so that you all can go ahead and get signed up for our mindfulness practices, again, starting on April 6th. Last thing I think that I'll say, our yoga will be starting in July. So the yoga will be available as you sign the liability waiver, the release and liability waiver. It highlights all of our activities under wellness activities. So if you sign up for the mindfulness, you'll have access to the yoga information as well. If you want to join us for some chair yoga, I'm going to work back towards floor yoga, but we'll be doing mainly chair yoga with our practice starting in July. you are more than welcome to join us for that. Last thing, this is going to be the last thing that I say. We are conducting a survey for our well education courses. So our well education courses will consist of programming that you, your family, your community selects. What we're gonna, I want you to fill out the survey that will inform me and my team of the programming that you want, the classes that you want, and we will plan the well education classes based on the survey feedback. So fill it out, ask your family, your friends, your coworkers, your church community, your organization community, let everybody know that we are conducting this well education survey so that we can provide wellness classes to the community. Some of the wellness classes will be virtual and some of them will be in person. And yes, we will travel to different counties. Right now, just in North Carolina, counties in North Carolina. Once we get going a little bit more, we may be able to travel to other states or internationally. But right now, we're just if we for the in-person sessions that we do, it's just going to be in North Carolina. Yes, I will come to your church, or we will come to your church. Yes, we will come to your community organization. Yes, we will come to your board meeting, your school board meeting, your county commissioner meeting, your city council meeting. If you need us to lead you all in like a 10, I can do a 5-minute mindfulness, up to 15-minute mindfulness practice, just to kind of get you settled before your meetings. We are available to the community. Now, those particular times, there might be some fees attached. Currently, there are no fees attached to anything that we do, but we will have some fee-based services, especially when we're talking about leading mindfulness for not communities, but for companies and businesses and corporations. Those will be fee-based services. But our mindfulness classes on Sunday will be, virtual and free, open to the public. We will be taking donations though, so our donation link is not available yet, but I'm hoping to have it active this weekend. So you can go ahead and start giving us donations if you so choose to, and letting your community know that we are 501c3. So it's possible that your donation will be tax deductible for 2026 if you give in 2025. And the donations will go towards providing resources to the community, printing off or providing materials for our in-person sessions, providing also food for our in-person sessions, just other curriculum materials and support that the community needs. Your donations will go towards that. Okay, y'all? So again, Be Well Connection, we formed in January 2025. We were blessed to get our 501c3 confirmation or determination letter in 2025, January. So God is amazing. He's good. And I'm really excited about being able to launch out in this wellness arena once again. So I'm already doing wellness with Aunties Against Abuse. So we work with young ladies ages 5 to 18. Now I have the other nonprofits that work specifically with adults. I do want to give a shout out to my executive board of Be Well Connection. Darnell Humphrey, my uncle who is on tonight. Shout out to you for agreeing to be an executive member of Be Well Connection. And shout out to my friend Deidre, who I won't say her last name because she not on, Uncle Darnell's name is up here, so I feel safe to say his name. But my friend Deidre is also on the executive board of Be Well Connection. So I'm really excited for how they have supported me already with the nonprofit and how they have helped with the bylaws and us getting established. They have, critiqued, and we have grammatical corrected and just everything with our bylaws and with our vision. And so I want to say thank you to Uncle Darnell and thank you to Deidre for your support and for being a part of this wonderful, beautiful wellness ministry that the Lord has given. We're not promoting religion, but it is a ministry. For me, it's a ministry to serve people, to help people, to do better mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and socially. To me, it is a ministry. We are not promoting religion, but I'm just telling you what this means to me. It's my service to the community. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm done. Wakanda forever. Okay, so I'm done, y'all. I invite you to like this broadcast. Go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know that you like the show. Share this episode with your family and friends. Go ahead and subscribe to the Stephanie Humphrey channel. and the Stephanie Humphrey podcast. As always, thank you for being a part of the Stephanie Humphrey channel family and the Stephanie Humphrey podcast family. If the Lord blesses us to live to see it, I will see you all next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. for another edition of Sip and Say with Stephanie. All right, y'all be blessed and take care. Bye-bye.